Today, Manchester City is one of the biggest clubs in the world, but it was once a team that fell to the third division. It was once the joke of the city, and it only managed to turn things around after years in limbo. This is the story of a club that emerged from the shadows of United to become a global powerhouse and dominate football with style and plenty of trophies. This is the story of Manchester City, and I bet you'll be surprised by what's coming. If you love football and enjoy a great comeback story, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive in. Manchester City was quite literally born inside a church, and that's no figure of speech. It all began in 1880, when St. Mark's Church, located in the working-class neighborhood of West Gorton, founded a football team as part of a social initiative. The mission was clear: rescue local youth from crime, alcohol, gangs, and the growing violence that plagued the streets of Manchester during the harsh years of the Industrial Revolution. At the time, Manchester was a city of extremes, massive industrial progress, but also deep poverty. Factories were booming, but living conditions for the working class were dire. The city was growing too fast, and those without guidance often lost their way. It was in this environment that the seed of a club that would one day change the history of English football was planted. The path to becoming Manchester City involved several changes and transformations. 1880, founded as St. Mark's, West Gorton, directly linked to the church parish. 1887. The club moved to a new ground and changed its name to Ardwick Association Football Club. It began to develop as a more structured football team, participating in regional competitions and friendly matches across Lancashire. 1894. After facing serious financial difficulties and reorganizing internally, the club changed its name once again, this time for good. Manchester City Football Club was born. This change reflected a bigger ambition: to represent the entire city, not just a single neighborhood. It was also driven by local mergers and partnerships that were necessary to save the club from collapse at the time. In 1899, just 5 years after adopting the Manchester City name, the club earned promotion to the First Division, the top tier of English football. It marked the beginning of their journey on the professional stage, competing against clubs from all over the country. This period also marked the birth of a rivalry that would define the city for generations. On one side, Manchester City with community roots, working-class identity, and a loyal fan base from the blue half of the city. On the other, Newton Heath, the railway-born club that would later become Manchester United, growing in influence and popularity in parallel, and with two distinct sides, the blue of West Gorton and Hyde Road, Manchester City, the red of North Manchester, Manchester United. What began as a church project would go on to shape football history, and the heart of a city divided by passion, pride, and two very different legacies. Manchester City's first major title came early. In 1904, the club was already writing its name into the history books of English football. City defeated Bolton Wanderers 1-0 in front of over 60,000 fans at the legendary Crystal Palace Stadium in London. That trophy marked a historic achievement. Manchester City became the first club from the city to win a national title, even before Manchester United. At that moment, City was the pride of the blue side of Manchester, growing in fan base, respect, and popularity. The future looked bright. Just 2 years after their glory, the club was caught in its first major crisis. The Football League discovered that Manchester City was paying wages above the legal limit, which at the time was strictly capped. The result? A full-scale purge. 17 players were suspended for misconduct, including Billy Meredith, one of the team's biggest stars. Manager Tom Maley was also banned from football, but the most painful blow was still to come. Most of the suspended players were released by the club, and many were immediately signed by Manchester United. That moment officially lit the fire of the City United rivalry, with the Red Devils taking advantage of City's downfall to strengthen themselves. From then on, Manchester was truly split: United and their rising empire, City and their fighting spirit. Despite the scandal, City didn't disappear. The club kept pushing forward, rebuilding, and growing its fan base, always popular though often unstable, until finally, in 1937, Manchester City won the First Division, now the Premier League, for the first time. The team had a fearsome attack, played joyful offensive football, and it felt like City had finally joined the elite of English football. The 1938 relegation, one of football's greatest mysteries. Just 1 year after becoming champions, City were relegated in 1938. And the craziest part? They had the best attack in the league that season. They scored over 80 goals but were undone by a leaky defense and inconsistent results. To this day, it's considered one of the most bizarre relegations in football history and remains a case study in unpredictability. In 1939, World War II broke out and football was suspended. Most players were drafted into the military, and stadiums were used as shelters and military training grounds. Like many clubs, Manchester City suffered major losses, human, financial, and sporting. When football returned in the mid-1940s, City struggled to recover its structure and form. They didn't win titles during this time, but the fans remained loyal and passionate. While trophies didn't come often in the 1950s, the emotional identity of the club grew stronger, and one name became eternal in the hearts of supporters. Trautmann was a former German soldier in World War II. He was captured and became a prisoner of war in England. After the war, he chose to stay in the country and rebuild his life as a footballer. Despite initial resistance, he was, after all, a German in post-war England. He won over the fans with his skill, humility, and courage. In the 1956 FA Cup final against Birmingham, City were leading 3-1 when Trautmann suffered a brutal collision. Visibly injured, he refused to leave the pitch. There were no substitutions back then. He played the final 15 minutes with a broken neck. Days later, it was revealed he had fractured 5 cervical vertebrae. Trautmann was named Man of the Match, became a club legend, and later had a film made about his life. From early glory to scandal, from heartbreak to heroism, this period showed that Manchester City's spirit was always forged in adversity, and their story was only just beginning. After the golden era of Mercer and Allison, Manchester City lost its way. What followed in the coming decades was a true long-running drama. Inexperienced management, questionable signings, piling debts, a new manager every season, zero stability, zero long-term planning. And as if that wasn't enough, the relegations came. 1, 2, 3, 4 drops in less than 20 years. 1983, 1987, 1996, 1998. Rock bottom, Manchester City was relegated to League One, the third tier of English football. Yes, the same club that had once been champion of England and Europe was now playing against semi-professional teams in stadiums holding just 10,000 people. But even at rock bottom, the fans never gave up. The Old Main Road, City's home, remained packed. Loyal, die-hard fans who carried the pain with pride, saying, "One day, we'll be back." And they were right. City faced Gillingham in the most important match of its recent history. At 89 minutes, City was losing 2-0. Fans were in tears. The dream was collapsing. But, in the span of 5 minutes, everything changed. Horlock scores to make it 2-1. In stoppage time, Paul Dickoff equalizes. In the penalty shootout, Manchester City wins. And on that day, Manchester City was reborn. At rock bottom, they found the spark that would ignite everything to come. In 2003, City said goodbye to its historic home, Main Road, after over 80 years of memories. Emotional, painful, symbolic. But it was time to look forward. The club moved into the modern City of Manchester Stadium, built for the 2002 Commonwealth Games. A state-of-the-art arena, spacious and future-facing, a stadium whose name would soon be known around the world, Etihad Stadium. The squad didn't yet have star power, but it was starting to find structure. Players like Sean Wright-Phillips, the midfield engine, Richard Dunn, the defensive anchor Joey Barton, Michael Tarnat, Benjani. Shortly after Ilano, Petrov, and Micah Richards, it was a mid-table team, inconsistent but organized, no longer the chaos of the 90s. Now, City was a stable club, but missing one thing, ambition. And then in 2008, the Sheikh arrived, and everything changed. September 1st, 2008. Manchester City is bought by billionaire Sheikh Mansour, a member of Abu Dhabi's royal family, through the Abu Dhabi United Group. Until then, City was a stable club, but far from the spotlight. On the very same day of the takeover, the message was loud and clear. Robinho from Real Madrid for £32.5 million, the most expensive signing in English football at the time. The football world stopped. The message was clear. Manchester City is no longer small. In the years that followed, the club made massive investments in infrastructure, training facilities, and, of course, world-class players. Arrivals included Carlos Tevez, signed away from rivals United, Emmanuel Adebayor, Kolo Touré, Yaya Touré, David Silva, the Spanish magician Vincent Kompany, the defensive general Edin Dzeko, Samir Nasri, Pablo Zabaleta, and later, Sergio Aguero. The most iconic name of the new era City was no longer a promise. They were a serious threat. In 2011, the revolution bore its first major fruit. City won the FA Cup, beating Stoke City 1-0 with a decisive goal from Yaya Touré. The celebrations were massive, but this was only the beginning. May 13, 2012, final match day of the Premier League. United had already won their game. City had to beat QPR. At 90 minutes, City was losing 2-1. Dzeko equalized at 91. Aguero scored the winner at 93. Martin Tyler screamed into the mic, "Aguero! You'll never see anything like this ever again." At that moment, Manchester City was reborn. No longer the poor cousin in Manchester, they became Premier League champions for the first time in 44 years and showed the world they were here to stay. Then came the mastermind, Pep Guardiola. 2016, already legendary for his spells at Barcelona and Bayern Munich, Guardiola arrived with a clear mission: implement a style of football built on possession, pressure, and perfection. The Pep blueprint: short build-up from the keeper, synchronized movement, floating midfielders, fullbacks turned playmakers. A level of control rarely seen in English football. The result: one of the most dominant teams in English football history. 7x Premier League champion, 6x EFL Cup winner, 2x FA Cup winner, 1x Champions League winner 2022-23, 1x UEFA Super Cup, 1x FIFA Club World Cup 2023. Historic treble in 2022-23, Premier League plus FA Cup plus Champions League. Kevin De Bruyne, the brain of the team, Erling Haaland, the goal-scoring machine Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Mahrez, Rodri, Ederson, all crucial pieces in a near-perfect system. Guardiola's Manchester City is more than just a team. It's a footballing masterpiece. From a discredited team in the 90s to a global powerhouse in the 2020s, Manchester City proved it's possible to rebuild a legacy from scratch, with vision, investment, and football that captivates the world. Manchester City today is no longer just a football club. It's a global powerhouse, a multinational project, one of the clearest symbols of tactical and technical dominance in modern football. A model club. Home to one of the most advanced sports infrastructures in the world. A cutting-edge training facility like no other. A solid academy producing stars like Phil Foden. And a footballing philosophy that inspires clubs across continents. Manchester City is the flagship of City Football Group, a holding company that owns clubs across the globe: New York City FC, USA, Melbourne City, Australia, Girona FC, Spain, Montevideo City Torque, Uruguay, Yokohama Marinos, Japan, and many more. More than just winning trophies, City is building a global brand, an identity, a style. In 2023, the club came under investigation by the Premier League for over 100 potential breaches of financial regulations, financial fair play. The case is still ongoing and possible consequences remain uncertain. And here's the big question: did City's success come purely from football, or is there something behind the scenes that still needs to be explained? Manchester City was once the punchline, once a third-division club, once living in the shadow of their rival. But with persistence, investment, vision, and boldness, they've written one of the greatest transformation stories in football history. And the most incredible part? They may not have reached their peak yet. If football is about overcoming, evolving, and reinventing, then Manchester City is one of the greatest symbols of it all. And if the past was turbulent, the future, my friend, might be even bluer. If you enjoyed this journey through City's history, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what was the most unforgettable moment in Manchester City's story for you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next epic football story.